Life often feels unfair. You watch good people suffer while those who seem undeserving thrive, and the question burns in your mind. Why do bad things happen to good people? This is not just a philosophical puzzle. It is a reality that touches every man and woman at some point. From a Buddhist perspective, the answer is not found in blame or judgment. It is found in understanding the nature of existence itself. Buddhism teaches that life is impermanent, and that suffering, or dukkha, is universal. Goodness does not shield us from pain, nor does misfortune indicate moral failure. Instead, every experience, joyful or painful, carries a lesson. What seems like injustice is often the echo of actions, our own or collective karma, that shape the circumstances we encounter. Modern men struggle with this because society pushes a narrative of fairness. If you are good, life should reward you. But reality operates differently. The wise man understands that suffering is a mirror, a teacher, and an opportunity for growth. It is in navigating adversity with clarity, courage, and compassion that we discover our strength and deepen our understanding of life. 1. Understanding karma. The first step to grasping why bad things happen to good people is understanding karma, not as a tool of punishment, but as the natural law of cause and effect. Every action, every thought, every intention we carry plants a seed. Some seeds bear fruit immediately. Others take years, even lifetimes, to manifest. Karma is not about cosmic justice or moral scorekeeping. It is about consequences, inevitable results of energy set in motion. For modern men, this can feel unsettling. You may live with honesty, integrity, and generosity, yet still face betrayal, loss, or hardship. Buddhism teaches that this is not a contradiction. Your current suffering may be the result of past actions from this life or previous ones, that were out of ignorance, desire, or attachment. Similarly, someone who seems undeserving may be reaping the results of past positive actions that have matured now. Life is not a simple ledger. It is a vast, interconnected web. Understanding karma shifts the focus from resentment to responsibility. When a good man suffers, it is not a signal that life has betrayed him. It is an invitation to examine his mind, his choices, and his attachments. It is an opportunity to cultivate patience, resilience, and wisdom. The suffering itself becomes fertile ground for growth. Men are often taught to fight, control, or resist adversity, but Buddhism encourages another path: awareness. Observe the circumstances, recognize your part in the unfolding, and respond with mindful action rather than blind reaction. A man who comprehends karma sees that life is not about avoiding hardship, but about using it to refine character, deepen compassion, and awaken understanding. The power of karma lies not in punishment, but in clarity. When you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" you transform suffering from a threat into a teacher. Bad things happen, yes, but through awareness, they become tools for insight, strength, and the awakening of your true self. 2. Impermanence reveals truth. Life is in constant flux. Buddhism calls this impermanence, or anicca. Nothing lasts forever. Our joys, our relationships, our successes, and yes, even our suffering. Understanding this principle is crucial for modern men who struggle with seeing good people face hardship. The truth is, no condition, pleasant or painful, is permanent. When we witness someone good suffering, it can feel like a violation of fairness. But impermanence teaches us that suffering, like pleasure, is temporary. Pain arises, lingers, and eventually passes, just as happiness does. A man who internalizes this truth learns not to cling to outcomes or measure life by transient experiences. He understands that challenges are chapters, not the entire story. Modern society conditions men to seek control, certainty, and security. Yet Buddhism insists that control is an illusion. Bad things happen because the world is unpredictable, interconnected, and constantly changing. A skilled man does not demand life conform to his expectations. He adapts, he observes, and he responds with clarity. Suffering is not an enemy. It is the reality of impermanent existence, a mirror reflecting life's deeper currents. Impermanence also dissolves attachment to identity. A man may define himself by his morality, his achievements, or the perception of being good. When hardship strikes, this identity feels threatened, causing pain and confusion. Buddhism teaches that clinging to a rigid sense of self magnifies suffering. By embracing impermanence, a man can endure adversity with composure, understanding that events shape experience, but do not define the essence of who he is. The practice of mindfulness amplifies this awareness. Observing thoughts and feelings as they arise and pass strengthens the mind. Pain becomes a teacher, not a tormentor. Each challenge reveals the transient nature of existence and the resilience within. Modern men, who often equate hardship with personal failure, can transform their perspective. Suffering is neither punishment nor injustice. It is evidence of impermanence, and through it, growth is possible. Ultimately, understanding impermanence liberates the soul from resentment. Life is not obligated to be fair, and being good does not guarantee immunity. But a man who aligns with impermanence learns to navigate adversity without losing his balance. He sees that both fortune and misfortune are passing phenomena, shaping wisdom and character rather than dictating worth. Recognizing impermanence allows good people to endure suffering with courage, turning every challenge into an opportunity for insight and spiritual refinement. 3. Suffering as a teacher. Buddhism does not see suffering as a punishment or a curse. It sees suffering as a teacher, one that demands attention, honesty, and courage. For men who face adversity despite living rightly, this perspective is transformative. Every hardship, every betrayal, every moment of loss carries a lesson waiting to be discovered. When a good man encounters pain, his instinct may be to resist, complain, or seek revenge. Buddhism challenges this instinct. Instead of reacting blindly, a man is invited to observe suffering deeply. Why did this happen? What is within my control? What is beyond it? Through this reflective practice, suffering becomes a mirror that reflects the truth of life and the patterns of the mind. Modern life distracts men from these lessons. We are trained to seek immediate solutions, to avoid discomfort, and to define success by outcomes rather than understanding. Yet suffering offers insights that comfort and pleasure cannot. It reveals attachments, ego, and illusions of control. A man who faces suffering consciously begins to untangle these hidden threads, gaining clarity about himself and the world around him. Consider loss, losing a job, a relationship, or health. The immediate response is grief or anger. Buddhism teaches that these responses are natural, but they are also opportunities. In grief, we discover the depth of our empathy. In loss, we recognize impermanence and the transient nature of life's conditions. In pain, we find resilience, patience, and the capacity to endure without being destroyed. The disciplined mind uses suffering to cultivate virtues. Compassion emerges when we experience hardship and recognize that all beings struggle. Courage grows when we face adversity without surrendering to fear. Wisdom arises when we reflect on the causes of suffering and act consciously rather than reactively. For the modern man, these qualities are not abstract ideals. They are the foundation of a life lived fully, even in the face of apparent injustice. Importantly, suffering teaches detachment, not indifference. A man can remain engaged, loving, and moral, while recognizing that outcomes are often beyond his control. Buddhism emphasizes that the goal is not to eliminate suffering, impossible in a world governed by impermanence, but to transform one's relationship with it. A man who can face pain with awareness, patience, and clarity gains a freedom and power that cannot be taken away. By reframing hardship as a teacher, we stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can I learn?" Suffering becomes a tool for inner growth, moral fortitude, and spiritual awakening. For good people, this understanding transforms adversity from a cruel enigma into a gateway for wisdom, strength, and liberation. 4. The role of compassion. One of the most profound lessons Buddhism offers to men facing suffering is the cultivation of compassion. Bad things happen to good people, not as a test or punishment, but as a reality that calls for empathy, both for oneself and others. Compassion is not weakness, it is strength, clarity, and the mark of a mature man who understands life deeply. When suffering strikes, it is easy to become self-centered, questioning, "Why me?" or resenting the world. Buddhism teaches that this is a natural reaction, but also a limiting one. By developing compassion, a man transforms his perspective. He sees that everyone is caught in the web of suffering, including those who appear fortunate or even cruel. Understanding this interconnectedness reduces resentment and opens the heart. Compassion begins inward. A man must acknowledge his own pain, honor it, and allow it to shape him without bitterness. Suppressing suffering, denying it, or blaming oneself or others only compounds misery. By observing pain with mindfulness and accepting it, he learns resilience and self-respect. This inner compassion becomes the foundation for outward compassion, responding to others with patience, kindness, and presence rather than judgment. Bad things often happen because life is unpredictable, and human desires and attachments create ripples of suffering. A man who cultivates compassion sees that adversity is rarely personal. It is part of the shared human condition. He does not lash out, seek revenge, or harbor envy. Instead, he acts with wisdom, understanding that others too are struggling silently, and that kindness is the response that strengthens both the giver and receiver. Compassion is also a shield against despair. When misfortune strikes, a man grounded in compassion can endure without losing his center. He sees beyond immediate discomfort, recognizing that helping others, even in small ways, reinforces meaning and purpose. Pain becomes a bridge rather than a barrier, connecting him to the world and reminding him that life is richer when lived with awareness and empathy. Ultimately, compassion transforms suffering into a catalyst for personal and spiritual growth. Buddhism emphasizes that moral integrity is not measured by the absence of hardship, but by how one navigates it. A good man may face adversity, but through compassion, both for himself and others, he transcends the bitterness and resentment that trap so many. Compassion turns life's unavoidable difficulties into opportunities to strengthen character, deepen understanding, and live with courage and honor. By embracing compassion, a man learns that bad things do not diminish his value or goodness. They refine it. Suffering becomes not an enemy to fear, but a teacher to respect, guiding him toward a more conscious, powerful, and meaningful existence. 5. Acceptance and inner freedom. The final key to understanding why bad things happen to good people lies in acceptance. Buddhism teaches that resisting life's reality only multiplies suffering. A man who can embrace life exactly as it unfolds, without denial, blame, or resentment, finds a freedom that no external circumstance can take away. Acceptance is not passive resignation. It is an active acknowledgement of truth. Bad things will happen, regardless of merit, virtue, or effort. A man who accepts this does not waste energy fighting what cannot be controlled. Instead, he focuses on how he responds. This conscious response is where strength, courage, and wisdom emerge. Modern men are often trapped in the illusion of control. We believe that morality or competence should guarantee security and happiness. When life proves otherwise, frustration, anger, and despair follow. Acceptance teaches that life is a dynamic process, and suffering is part of its flow. By letting go of the expectation that life must be fair, a man liberates himself from resentment and opens space for clarity and creativity in solving his challenges. Inner freedom comes when a man disentangles his self-worth from external outcomes. Buddhism emphasizes that goodness is an internal quality, not a contract with the universe. Being good does not ensure comfort or reward. It ensures integrity and alignment with the truth of life. A man who cultivates this inner compass remains grounded, confident, and compassionate, even amid misfortune. Acceptance also allows for transformation. When a man encounters hardship with a calm and open mind, he discovers lessons hidden in the experience. Patience in adversity, clarity in chaos, resilience in loss. The mind becomes a sanctuary where suffering is observed, processed, and transformed into growth. This is the essence of Buddhist practice, turning unavoidable challenges into opportunities for awakening. Finally, acceptance fosters equanimity. Life's highs and lows are part of the natural rhythm. By embracing them without attachment or aversion, a man experiences peace, not dependent on circumstances. Bad things may still happen, but they no longer destabilize him. Instead, they refine his character, deepen his understanding, and awaken his capacity for courage, wisdom, and compassion. By practicing acceptance, men learn that life is not meant to be controlled or perfected, but understood and navigated. Suffering loses its sting, and freedom emerges, not as a promise of comfort, but as a mastery of self and a profound alignment with the truth of existence. Bad things happen to good people not to punish, but to teach. Life's challenges are mirrors reflecting impermanence, karma, and the limits of control. Buddhism guides us to see suffering as a teacher, compassion as a shield, and acceptance as freedom. A man who embodies these truths does not shrink from hardship. He grows through it. Every setback, every loss, Every injustice becomes a chance to cultivate resilience, wisdom, and inner strength. Goodness is not measured by comfort or reward, but by how we navigate life's storms with clarity, courage, and an unwavering heart.